All right, Miles, let's go out west and go to Eugene. Let's talk about Oregon Ducks football. This is one of the programs offseason quietly has absolutely killed it. Dan Lanning and the staff he's built has done an outstanding job in the recruiting, the transfer portal. And we've got some great news fresh off of signing day that's even further proof that Lanning and his team are doing just a phenomenal job building a true contender there in Oregon.
Yeah, Nick, they've signed player after player after player. We've done numerous stories on all of these big time transfers, big time signings they're doing on signing day. But Nick, all of these big time guys, they all get the big time headlines. Everyone knows about them. But Oregon maybe has signed some players that went under the radar, and that's what we want the fans to let us know in the comments below. What signings, what guys at Oregon that have transferred in kind of went under the radar and you think aren't getting the credit they deserve? Maybe they're going to make a bigger impact than we know. Let us know in the comments below who you think is kind of flown under the radar this period. But Nick, who is the latest guy coming to Oregon?
Yeah, so Oregon is known for its speed. Obviously, its track program is just historically, it's just kind of famous, obviously, of course, with Phil Knight and everything there. And they're not done developing that speed, according to OregonLive.com. Roderick Pleasant, one of the top remaining unsigned players in the class of 2023, is joining the Oregon Ducks. He's a four-star cornerback and the number 2 track recruit in the country. He's an amazing athlete. Pleasant committed to and signed with Oregon on National Signing Day. He chose Oregon over, get this, Mize, Southern Cal, Boston College, Cal Berkeley, and UCLA. Pleasant went on to say, quoting Pleasant here, quote, "I've always felt like a priority there. Lanning and Coach Tosh have been recruiting me very hard, and I built a very, very great relationship with them, and I'm excited about the opportunity of being a Duck." All right, Miles, you talk about this Oregon program, and we've done a number of videos on them. Like you said, they seem to continually get 3, 4, 5-star guys. This is just well done by Lanning and his staff. And we had a few years there with Chip Kelly where this seemed to be a common thing, but it seemed like almost an anomaly at the time. Like it was just their short time in the sun to be like the top of the college football world. It doesn't seem to be the way anymore, Miles. They're getting top transfers year in and year out, and they're getting top recruits year in and year out. And Pleasant is just another example of that.
Yeah, I can't state enough how impressed I am with Lanning in his first year at Oregon, doing all this big stuff, making big time moves. Nick, he just really, really has been quite impressive. But on this latest recruit in Pleasant, his coach, Scott Altenberg, over at Junipero Serra High School, said this about him. It kind of just is reiterating exactly what you said. He said that Pleasant has tremendous speed. He's very powerful, and he has the very, very high upside in the corner game. He thinks that he can keep developing because he's very smooth, and most importantly, he can run. So it sounds like you said he has elite speed, elite track speed, and it doesn't sound like there's very many receivers who are going to be blown by this guy. So I think that speed is very, very important. But Nick, I have another fun little quip here for you about Oregon. Maybe kind of a subtle dig, especially since Pleasant was from California, getting highly recruited by all of these California schools. But somehow, Nick, Oregon has landed more top 10 California recruits than Southern Cal and UCLA combined. This just goes to show how big they have been recruiting on the West Coast, all of that kind of stuff. They are truly a powerhouse in the West Coast recruitment area now.
Oh, 100%. It just tells you that media narrative that, what Riley was doing at Southern Cal was just setting the world on fire. And he's done a lot of good things. Obviously, Chip Kelly at UCLA has done some very good things as well. But it just goes to show that sometimes narratives don't match reality. And what Lanning has done in Oregon should get more attention than it really does. Because he has, to your point, built a recruiting and transfer powerhouse. And they were a really good team last year, obviously. And I think they're only going to get better and better and better. And it just tells you how good of a hire Lanning was. Because there was some questions when you brought him in, right? Well, was he the right guy? Oregon's a different kind of place. It's a different kind of environment, right? But he was able to come in and get it done from the get-go. And we talked about some other videos we do. It's like recruiting begets better recruiting. If you're good at recruiting one year, you bring in a lot of players. Players want to play with those good players. So if you're good in the transfer portal and recruiting one year, the next year you're probably going to be good in the transfer portal recruiting, and so on and so on. And that's how dynasties are made. Ask Nick Saban in Alabama. Ask what Kirby Smart in Georgia has done the past couple of years. And I think Oregon right now, they've got a long way to go to get to Alabama and Georgia level, but they're on the right track. And I think Dan Lanning deserves a lot of credit of what he's done.